Welcome to the Great Distraction.
Fellow citizens, welcome back. This is The Great Distraction, and today the topic of discussion is part of our Illusions series. Today it will be about freedom. My name is Ben, and with me today are my co-hosts Thomas.
How's it going?
Shane.
What's up?
And Trevor.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. The Great Distraction is a podcast that focuses on a vast and random range of topics, and we hope that each episode leaves you with, if nothing else, a little something to ponder. As always, we'd love to hear from you guys. Seriously, we'd love to hear from you. Seriously, we'd love to hear from you.
Please
Questions-
contact us.
Questions, comments, and topic suggestions are always welcome. You guys can hit us up on Facebook or at our email address at greatdistractionpodcast@gmail.com, Google's Mail, whatever you want to call it. Yes.
Google's Mail.
Google's Mail.
That's what you're going to call it?
I mean, Gmail.
Okay.
Google's Mail. It could be. I don't know.
What do you think it was?
Wait.
Well, I knew what it was, but I don't know. Never mind. I was expecting something more profound from Ben.
What? I didn't invent the damn thing.
He always gives me the technical explanation for things. I'm like, okay.
Electronic mail.
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, I heard about them damn
I was
near,
today old when I figured that out.
digital mail, digital messages.
Yeah. How do you get this? What's his personal messages?
PMs. What's a PM or DM? It's like seems to be alternating back and forth now. Sometimes I hear PM, sometimes I see DM.
It's you're free to choose which one.
Are
you
you
want.
really
you
free
are
to choose?
free to. Are you really free to choose?
You are. You are.
You guys
You're
do-
free to these choices.
That's right. Yes. Wait. What if I
Here
yell?
you go. A,
Yes.
B.
Which one, Ben?
Go
Tell
ahead,
us.
it.
choose.
Red, blue,
Oh,
black,
they're
white,
the same thing.
It's only your life.
and how you want to live it.
That's right.
So you guys are getting the gist of what we're talking about here. How free is freedom really?
Was it $1.05, right? That's the cost of freedom.
It was back then.
How
I
much
think
is gas in your town? Damn, do you have a Mountain Dew? I have not had a Mountain Dew.
It's a fake Mountain Dew.
It's a fake Mountain Dew. I have not had
Is
a
it?
Mountain Dew in
Oh,
forever.
no,
It's a real one,
it's
dude.
legit.
It's an MTN Dew.
That's right.
Wow, it's probably been since like junior high since I've had a Mountain Dew.
Well, you're not gonna have one now because he's drinking.
That's right. It's not for you, mister.
and I didn't bring any extras.
That's right.
So you're going to have to do the do. Put
right.
on your
Your
bucket
do is
list.
done.
Actually, you're not going to do the Dew. that's
It's like
the thing
great
for you,
distraction colors right there.
buddy. Oh, a little limier, but still, it's the face. It's the
Yeah,
face.
sometimes you need that soda pop kick in the nuts. That's all
I
I'm saying.
actually could go with some caffeine right now. We're doing a double ender here.
Double.
We're double fisted it here. And
It's time for me to go.
and it's getting a little late. It's getting a little sleepy, but we're pressing on. We're powering through it. Now, I want to kick this one off right off the bat with. Depends on how patriotic you are and how hoorah you are. Whether or not this topic may or may not offend you. But I'm going to start it off by saying we are not here to complain or express dislike or discontent or disservice to our country. That's a whole different story. But
That's a different topic.
that's a different topic. That's right. We'll get to that later. No, but in going with our general theme of this podcast is we question everything and how much freedom we actually have as citizens of this country and other countries this will apply to as well is definitely along the lines of our topics of discussion typical for this podcast. So hopefully you don't take offense, but if you've been listening this long or this is not your first one, you're not going to take offense because you're an actual cool person and open-minded.
And you know we're going to say some stupid shit.
And you know we're going to say some fucked up shit because that's what we do.
And you're a cool person.
That's right. And explicit content is on this thing for a reason. So let's start it off. I really couldn't figure out a great way to organize this topic because obviously it's extremely open-ended and there's like a million different ways to take it and subtopics within it. So what we did is made up a list of possible freedoms that we could discuss or therefore the illusion of thereof freedoms that we could possibly discuss. And the first one I want to start with has bugged me. What happened?
Is this one of your pet peeves? That was a different episode, dude.
Well, yes. That's right. It does sound like it, right? If you ever heard our pet peeves episode, yeah, where we go through and figure out how to annoy each other. That was like
already
one of
knew.
our early ones too, right? hypothesis versus
Theory.
Yeah, Glenn. Unfortunately, Glenn's
Oh,
not here
man.
today, but that's one that gets under his skin. I still tease him about it to this day. Now I was like, oh, thank you for that. Yes, now I know how to get under your skin. Let me tell you about a theory I have. Bugs the hell out of him. I just thought of it right now. No proof, no evidence, but I got it, buddy. So voting and our actual effect or control over our government. And so this is a pet peeve of mine because it really does seem to me in a lot of ways that our voting makes no damn difference. And I know that's a strong point.
So you're saying that our voice
I don't think we
is
have
an
one.
illusion.
Is an illusion.
What
right?
he's saying is that he realizes that we are free to vote, but we are not free to
elect.
choose.
We're not free to elect.
Or maybe that too, obviously. But the other thing, as case in our current presidency, right? But does the voting even do anything? I mean,
I don't think it does. I think
do
it
you
gives
count
people.
the votes? Do you really know what comes in? I don't.
Yeah, and apparently the app for that sucks.
Thank you.
Thomas is on his game
right.
today.
It's that digital voting.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we can vote for American Idol easier than I'm voting for president, and it's more accurate.
And you know what? I actually
so
would trust
true.
those tallies more than I would trust
Hell yeah.
their method for what they're doing now. You know,
I
it's
definitely
like,
think Chet won more than that other dude.
I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it has some players on that.
I figure
game.
there's got to be somebody who won American Idol named Chet, right? You would think.
I
That's a
never
pretty
watched
good
that show.
guess. I have no idea. That's for sure.
Chet. We'll look that up
Holy
later.
Chet.
I don't know if Chet was a good guess.
Okay.
Brian,
Let's ask
Joe?
Snoops.
Joe?
Let's ask Snoops if that's
Not
correct.
bad. John, it's a good guess.
So what do you guys think? Do you think that we actually have the freedom of democracy and controlling our government through voting? Does it exist, or is it just an illusion?
Well, I mean, physically you can do it, so it does exist.
Oh, okay.
But what kind of
it's going somewhere?
But what does it count for?
Considering the fact that the current president wasn't voted in by popular vote, clearly there's limitations to
That really-
to that,
that's
to
how
that
I felt.
concept.
That's
was
sort of
like-
like saying, like, we have a vote on it, and then we have another sect has another
A veto.
They just made it to round one. Round two is a whole different story.
Seriously, I didn't even know there were multiple rounds. Oh,
Right.
there are, buddy.
There's the people who vote in your round. We'll listen to you. Go ahead and vote. We'll hear you. But we're going to do whatever the fuck we want to do after that.
You know, there are rules and order, but there are people who actively spend their life trying to figure out ways around those rules.
I wonder if there's a way we could. I wish there was a way we could take a poll of all U.S. citizens, right? Like the census or something. Do you feel add it to the census? Fuck, there you go.
Right.
Do you feel that voting actually matters, or that you're?
I think that information is out there, and I think the majority of the population doesn't think it does anything.
How would they collect that though, unless it's through the government?
I mean, they have private people that ask people.
Oh, that's true.
Private
survey,
research.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's
research
a
firms.
census is done like
Once every 10 years.
Yeah, that's not enough information to really decide anything like that. I don't
Why?
think.
It hits so many people. I would think that would
Hits
be a
more
great.
Not when
people
like
than most
trillions of
surveys.
people watch Netflix every night. When you can easily,
Well, there's not trillions in our country, but
well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
just trillions of things are watched on Netflix
Yeah.
constantly. We have the ability to
Streams.
go straight to you.
Well,
You
we
know
have
what I
the-
mean?
So you're saying
but
Netflix
you're
should
not
do-
trustworthy.
So you're saying Netflix should host this survey?
That would be interesting,
That'd be
wouldn't
cool.
it?
Yeah,
I
hell
mean,
yeah.
all in the end, I think anyone wants is the truth, but it doesn't seem like no one wants to give you that. So, in my opinion, I don't
should-
think
they should do
I
something
think
like-
it's a ruse to keep you busy. So
Part of the great
It's a great
distraction.
distraction.
That's
Yeah.
why this is. That's why this is a topic, and something
I
that
want
should
to
be
think
questioned.
that it works. And in fact, if they put anyone decent up against Trump this year, I might actually go and vote for him. But it's proven the last couple rounds that I don't think it matters as much when people have the ability to manipulate it with money.
Yeah.
I can't sway the vote with cash,
Literally,
but someone else can.
'Cause I'm broke.
That's not fair.
that came up on Facebook sometime today. Somebody was talking about putting Mike Bloomberg against Trump, and it's like, so you're just saying that if you've got enough money to be president, you can just buy being president.
Right.
I mean,
Which
they're,
is-
they're
Well,
both
that's where
they're
we
has
both
always been the
just
kind of
super
been the
rich
case in a
guys
way.
that are just going to spend a shitload of money to be president.
Yeah, first of all, I think
Once one
it's-
figures it out, the rest will keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's obnoxious to think that someone would spend, $420 million to try to become the president instead of taking $400 $120 million and making sure people are taken care of, that person would just get that role.
You know what I always thought would
You
be
just get that role.
You know what I thought would be the most ultimate campaign as a president? You could say, we're going to take money from anybody who will give it to us, and we're giving 99.99999% of it to the people.
That
to
has
community shelters and things like that. Like just collect money for
that requires a restructure of because like some countries
you can restructure anything,
that's
dude.
True.
Everything's up for sale.
That's true, but some countries do have that like a campaign limitation where you have you have $10,000 you can spend on your campaign. You're running for president. You have $10,000. That's it. What they're still going to find ways to spend and that's off the books or whatever. Kickbacks afterwards.
But I've always felt like voting just reminded me of an old cartoon I saw when I was really really young, where all these like robotic people went in and there was this thing they went ding vote, and it was like this, and it was like a squirrel on the other end keeping count or something, like moving nuts around to count how many people voted. And it was like this is how stupid this is.
Yeah, what was that?
That's how I've always felt about voting.
I heard that saying once. I don't know. I remember who the hell they said it, and sometimes it's wrong anyway. But if voting made a difference, they wouldn't let us do it. Along those lines.
Is that Mark Twain, I think?
That's what floated around, but I don't know if that. I don't know. Anyway, you have to Google that yourself.
I think
Mark James.
Maybe I think it's Mark
Rick
Twain.
James.
Rick James.
Rick James that said that.
Show Charlie Murphy your teddies.
For now on, every time we're now in a mode we'll say, well, Rick James said that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the go-to.
How we went from
Who
Mark
said
Twain
that?
to Rick James.
Who said that? Do you remember who said that? Rick James said
Shit,
that.
the guy's in Great
Smart guy,
Distractions.
man. Smart.
I say what? Okay, so let's move on. That kind of moves you to where I wanted to go. Was lawmaking, and I mean I understand this one might not so much be directly related to our freedom, but it is because the results do affect what is free and what is not. So the making of said laws, and in particular, there are lots of laws that are passed that do not go out to vote to citizens. If you live in the fair state of California, you are well aware, you may or may not be well aware, if you're a fan, of all of the gun laws we have. A lot of these gun laws, and not to pick on gun laws, it's just a great example. A lot of these gun laws are passed without votes. They don't vote. Nobody votes on these. And they're passed by lawmakers who do not have to abide by them. So what the hell do they care if we can't have this gun, that gun, this way? Because they can. So they're not tripping about it. They're not worried about it.
You're talking about a class of people who has security 24/7.
Yeah, on top of that, right?
Yeah, on top of that. They don't need to worry about anything.
How is it freedom? Because these laws are made that affect our rights or our freedom, if you will. How is there really freedom when you have people passing laws that we don't even get a say on? Even if voting did matter, now maybe voting at this level does, I don't know. Even whether or not you believe in it or not, doesn't matter. We don't even have the say, period. And those are laws that directly affect our freedom. How the hell is that? What is that? I don't understand that.
What is it?
That's not freedom.
Tell me what's going on here.
What is
That's
that?
the illusion of freedom. That's. Oh, we did this on your better behalf, buddy.
Well, I mean, you the way things are supposed to be structured is we're voting for people to do those minor things.
Oh, minor, yes.
Like, take care of the details. And that's what lobbyists and lawmakers all over, any government body do. They're out there to do things. So to represent, but it's representing their agenda.
Yeah, it's who they may be.
And their agenda is being paid for.
Yeah, so if it's
not
your agenda,
And they want to believe that you elected it. So you've already chosen.
You're their constituents.
yeah.
My children.
That sounds like some kind of Jesus syndrome, doesn't it?
It definitely sounds like a cult.
You have risen me above the rest to make the decisions that must be hardest.
My constituents.
I think that when you get into a point of power and there really isn't any to take, you just start making up stupid shit. Like, for especially gun laws in California. In Indiana, you can come over to my house and I can just sell you a gun. We don't need to exchange paperwork or anything.
Man, now here it's 11-day waiting period plus $35.
I think that's worth it if one less person gets fucking shot.
You mean our rules? Sure.
Why not?
I don't have a problem with that.
Everything else is restricted. If I want to drive, I have to jump through hoops for that.
You guys can also still get cool fireworks too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Our fireworks suck.
Yeah, here's the
They
funny
are
thing.
terrible.
On an off span, you have to promise that you'll shoot them off outside of the state. So
Really?
Really?
They change. It's a constant battle.
Yeah.
And it's a foolish one, like you say.
Hey,
They're
you can
battling
blow
over things that don't
shit
matter.
up, but you have to go to the other state and blow shit up. It's okay
You
for you
gotta-
to do it,
You can buy it
but you
here.
got to do it somewhere else.
That's right. That's happened
It sounds
before
like
there.
you're just trying to attack those other people and give these unknowing people weapons to do it.
You have to shoot these off in Indianapolis.
Here's your rocket launcher. You have to take this out of state. before you use it.
That's right.
You can only fire it in Columbus, Ohio.
So that's awesome that California's not the only state that has ridiculous laws like
What
this.
I'm saying is that they have to act like they're doing something.
Yeah.
And attaching yourself to lame duck things like that, it's perfect. You can say people should be allowed to have anonymity with their body, women and men alike. You can say that.
Are you talking about free the nipple?
Free all the nipples. No,
all three of
I'm
them.
saying that the arguing over what is considered life is the game and the attention and the money spent where it's the foolish, it's foolish. Like, this is very arguable. So that's the only reason why it stays in the public eye. It's not important.
Something to easily debate so that
Something that you can debate forever
Yes,
because there's no
yes.
wrong answer. Does God
Yeah,
exist?
there's no solution.
yeah, like abortion or something, right? It's like, oh, that's always going to be a hot topic because everybody feels strongly this way and that way.
Guns are always going to be that way.
Right. Republican versus Democrat, right? Same thing, right? There's always going to be the battle because they only give us two options.
You have to have, you have to have that black and white. You have to.
red and blue, actually. But
I call them dip versus shit.
a giant douche or a turd sandwich. Remember that? That was a South Park episode. That was
No,
those,
yeah.
those are their candidate options: a giant douche or a turd sandwich.
Right.
All right, we're going to move on.
All right.
Because this one is totally related to us. We are. I'm sorry, guys. It's going to be. It might hit you harder than you might have expected, but we are nobodies, and our voices are being put out there because we have the freedom of speech in this country. We have the freedom to record ourselves, put ourselves out there for no one to listen to. So, is the freedom?
I'm listening.
That's pretty negative. I think you should ramp it up and be a little more positive.
Man.
Because we have freedom of speech, we can share what we have to say with just anyone that wants to listen.
Indeed. And if there is nobody listening, okay, fine. If there is somebody listening, like you and I had discussed earlier, there may be consequences for what you say.
That's right.
So, freedom of speech comes with caveats. You may not
that's
like
true.
them.
Everything does.
This is true.
I think there should be caveats to being able to sell fireworks and send those people to another state to use them.
Can we have caveats on where you can send homeless people? Because they seem to be keep shipping them
Everybody
here.
comes here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they keep shipping them here. The whole country, 20% of the homeless is
Can't
in
we get some
California.
homeless? Can't we get some fireworks attached to those guys?
They bring fireworks for us with them.
Hey, please, we just want some bottle rockets and
I
maybe
mean-
some lady fingers.
Dude.
Do you guys have that big of a heart on for fireworks
You know
out here?
Yeah, because we haven't had them. You know how many years it's been since I've seen an actual
Dude, you know how
ground
many
bloom?
fires have leveled most of your estate here?
Yes,
I would
exactly.
give
Those weren't due
I'd
to
be like,
fireworks.
hey, no
Right.
more matches for you guys.
That's
Everyone
because we
turn
don't
in your
have
lighters.
fireworks, though.
But this is along the same things as who does gun laws protect or control? Law-abiding citizens. People who break the law, it doesn't work on that, right? So it's kind of
That's the way
along the
it's
same.
always been.
Yeah, it's kind of along the same lines as fireworks, though. It's like the fires are still being started just without fireworks.
Sure. But in that state, well, you might as well just burn everything down. And then you can have all the fireworks you want.
For 1 year
Just burn this place to the ground.
during the rebuild.
Oh man.
There you go.
I heard they were saying. In the religious communities that California was burning because they're all sinners.
There's always some bullshit. Like
Citizen-
that.
Well, you're born that way. Didn't you know that?
Man, the whole state they're gonna burn down with the wrath of the devil.
That's right. They say it's okay. Everything's so okay.
They
in
let themselves
California.
go, bastards.
Right.
So-
Maybe it's so depressing in the Midwest because all those people are bashing the souls of the residents.
Oh man, well their circle's getting smaller,
It is.
little by little.
Yeah.
But they still have their freedom of speech, or do they have a freedom of speech?
Well, you do have a freedom of speech. Of course you do. You can say anything you want. But again, ramifications, you know what I mean? A lot of people are claiming that people are being soft and on words and stuff, and I feel like to some extent we need to shrug off some of our old societal ways that just don't make any sense anymore.
Like what? What do you mean?
How we treat people in general,
Well-
like, especially where we are
It's a
now
work in
with
progress.
the ability to just channel literally billions of dollars into a military that we don't really need to be that much better and for the sake of everyone else's health.
Because you brought that up, that hit a pet peeve of mine too. Like it's so funny that people, the media, will pounce on a lot of government spending, local government spending, city government spending, county government spending, state government spending, every little thing that they do. But
I
nobody
work for the state. The microscopes in your butthole.
Yeah,
I mean, where did that penny go?
Yeah, and what's even funnier is when they bring up $100,000 or $500,000 or $1 million was spent on this and wasted on this by the county or by the state or whatever. You realize the budgets are in the billions for this, and $100,000, $1 million, a couple $1 million is nothing. And on top of that, to that effect, nobody even questions how much is spent in the military. Nobody knows. I don't know how much the military spent on fucking bullets that are sitting there doing nothing, or maybe advanced trainings that will never be used, or maybe technology that they just shit can because they never used it.
Sure.
It was
anytime you see some kind of military action as a predator shoots a rocket at a target, you're like, that predator cost X amount of money. The gas cost, $2,000 to fly that for an hour. That missile is worth $40,000 to kill one target, and you're like, well, that's
or maybe it missed and they just fired 3.
That's like a mil 5, just to run in that operation.
And nobody questions that. Now, most of the time, it's under the, I don't want to say guise, maybe that's not the right word. It's under the justification that it is in our best interest and defending our country.
Great. I want to be defended, but I don't feel like that. Most of the grandeur of our society and financial grandeur is put towards a glorious military.
Can you imagine, though, if it was publicly denounced or announced, whatever, maybe that's the right word, announced, like when the state buys, they went out and spent, $100 million on a whole new fleet of vehicles, and the last set of vehicles was only 15 years old. They could have kept those if they did the same thing as, we are thinking about running a mission and killing this particular insurgent over here using a predator for $1.5 million and whatever. How do you guys feel about it? Like, well, can't you go in there and shoot the motherfucker? I mean, why do you got to use the damn predator?
Right.
Like, isn't there a sniper that could take him out for like half the cost or
But
something?
we have a predator. We spent $10 million developing the predator, man.
We've got 8 of these things we've never even taken off the ground because they come in packs of 12.
No, because there's someone standing in between that going.
That's right.
They're just making things so they can get paid to make things.
Oh,
and we've talked about this before. And the elite
contractors that develop
the
for
contractors
these for the military are like, holy crap, they're just charging buku. But that there's $1,000 stainless steel bolt. It's a custom bolt.
$500 hammer.
I had to make that by hand, and it took me 47 minutes.
Yeah, it costs.
And I make $1,000 an hour.
It costs as much as the lathe costs to make it, but that's the value of it. Anyway, not to digress too much. Where were we? Speech. Yeah, speech. So
freedom of speech. So if you'd have freedom of speech, Ben, you couldn't say that.
You're absolutely right.
What you just did.
They dragged me outside, cut my tongue off.
Yeah,
it's illegal to yell fire in a crowded theater, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means if you do it, you're in trouble.
What? It's illegal? Is it illegal?
Yeah.
What?
The same thing if you say some crazy shit like that.
Don't cry wolf. Is that what you're telling me? Don't cry wolf. Bomb. Don't yell bomb in the airport. Actually, that probably is illegal. I can see where that would be illegal.
Let's just say.
Well, that's the same with fire. It causes people to panic, and people could get hurt.
I guess I just never thought there would be a specific law that says, Shane, you cannot go into that theater and you cannot exercise your freedom of speech to yell fire.
No, what they're
That's a great
saying
example.
is.
Why didn't you bring that up earlier?
He just did.
We're at the speech part, man.
I think he
He
nailed
was
it.
saving it, man. He didn't want to.
It's
throw
on
his
topic,
A-game all
man.
at the
Is that
beginning.
not speech? And is it not freedom to say that? What the hell
Again,
is
like
that?
you said, you're free to say it.
There are
but-
consequences.
There's consequences.
Only because they can't, by no means could they stop it from coming out of your mouth.
Exactly, and that's true about everything else.
Not now.
Not yet.
You can run a stop sign. The stop sign doesn't stop you. You just are supposed to stop there. If you don't stop there, nothing's going to happen
you've obviously
unless
not been to Sacramento, have you?
there's a cop sitting
Haven't
there.
you ever heard the California stop? We just roll through stop signs. Here.
Exactly, and you may get a ticket for that, or you may not.
And when you do, it's $450. Whoops.
Oh God. Yeah,
That's what fucks up this whole topic. Is you can go out and shoot somebody. It is murder, but you can do it.
This is true.
Nobody's
It's frowned
stopping
upon.
I'm
you.
just exercising my free rights. All right.
Right, and you may go to jail for it.
Let's go to the next one. The illusion of freedom. This one's a little deeper, a little less funny. Societal constraints are imposed on all of us. You are birthed, raised, surrounded by adulthood, whatever, under the impressions and pressure of the society around you. So, how much this is going to play a little bit off of a topic, a theme that we fall back on or refer to a lot, and along the line, and that is how much of you is actually you. So if these societal constraints are imposed on us every day in ways that maybe subconsciously we aren't even aware of, but they're there. Don't worry. Somebody's telling you what is right and wrong for how you should behave. Are you really free to behave as you would like? Now, this may be something drastic, which is a little easier to understand. Like, yeah, you can't tear off your clothes and run around naked in the supermarket.
But you can. You absolutely can.
But you don't have the freedom to do it without legal consequences, though.
Well, here's the thing. Like, that comes after. If that is your goal, you can pull that off.
Okay, so then
But
I guess
you did
if you're going to go that
afterwards.
route, then we would have to then take a step back and define freedom. And in my definition, I guess when I started the topic, because now you bring up a valid point indirectly there, the definition of freedom is what is and is not legal. Because if it's legal, there's less societal repercussions or maybe even less repercussions for you, period. If I go outside and yell the most derogatory or hurtful thing or anti-country patriotic outside right now, it's not illegal to do that, so nothing's going to happen. And probably nobody's going to hear me, so nothing's going to happen. But if you go into a supermarket and shoot somebody, that is something that is
That's not speech.
Well, that's
We don't talk with guns.
Use your words.
Use your words.
They're on the bullets.
That's right.
Yeah.
The bullets.
I wrote them on there, especially for you.
Carved them on there.
That one says freedom. Enjoy it.
The thing is
That's messed up, man. I like it. That's the equivalent of writing stuff on bombs that they're going to drop, you know?
So to go back to your shouting the most derogatory thing, if you're in the wrong neighborhood, you could get killed for that.
So
Or
again,
beaten badly.
That's true. But trying to define freedom and how we're approaching these topics, I was just thinking of government legality. Like there isn't state or federal laws against doing this.
No, but we're moving to an era where there sort of is. I mean, everybody's been pushing for years to put a limit on how many people can congregate, the number of people who can congregate in public places. So
Shit, they did that in my high school.
So yeah, and it worked, right?
Well, what choice do we have?
Right, exactly.
That
what
was
choice
your
do
prep.
we have?
That's how they got you ready for society. You guys can't do that.
Right. Now it doesn't seem unfamiliar to you.
That's right.
Now they bust out those microwave MRADs, whatever they were the microwave. They cook you. Yeah, if you haven't looked that up, look up it's a military vehicle, and it may be called an MRAD, but I might have that wrong. It spits out microwave radiation into a crowd and cooks you, makes you feel very uncomfortable and very hot, and it's a crowd.
Cooking me would make me feel
Yes,
uncomfortable.
it's a crowd disbursement tool. I realize that's totally off topic, but yes, it is a real thing. It's been out for years, and they do use it.
Wow.
It makes you very agitated and very hot and very pissed off as you're getting cooked. It looks like a freaking satellite on top
It's
of a...
very hot.
Yeah.
getting hot and
So
her.
to go back to
The problem with that is it starts from the inside, so no matter what
Yeah.
you do, you don't cool down.
You cannot get away from it. It is
can't.
impossible. They're
That's
cooking you from the inside.
terrible.
That doesn't sound fun to you. It's a hell
See,
of a tan.
why aren't our lawmakers passing laws to keep the police from being able to try to cook us to control
I don't.
us?
That's military. I think it's military only. I don't think the police can have access to
Hey,
stuff like
just
that.
give them a few years.
I think we should
Yeah.
have a law. There should be some laws about how other people can treat us as citizens, going in the inverse direction.
There probably are, but they have
Nobody knows
they,
about
they
them.
have a
They
little
keep
bit
just
more
scraping
freedom
them
than we
off on the
do.
books.
If you're doing something wrong, they
It's
can
like
cook
one of those
you.
UFO sighting
right.
things, the
Well,
classified.
seems you've broken
Just
Rule
blank.
47B, and we're now allowed to microwave you from the inside out. Have a nice day.
Yeah. So, but that goes back to what we were talking. The question I just asked is maybe we should have started off with defining freedom, because under certain conditions you are legally free to do this. Under certain conditions, they are legally free to microwave us.
Yeah.
You know.
And
so
to
I
go
mean,
back to the supermarket thing, are you actually
shooting somebody? Is that what
No.
Oh.
To get naked at the supermarket.
that one.
Is that
Is that a
illegal?
banana?
Or is it just against their policy?
I would
Maybe
say
it's legal for you to get
I
naked
would
in there.
say
In San Francisco,
And
you
it's
can be
just
naked.
against the supermarket's policy that you can't do that.
Because it's private property, so yeah, but that's not really a legal thing. Maybe
It's not, but it still limits your
I think that
ability to
whole
do
no
something.
shoes, no shirt, no service thing kind of wrapped that one up.
Well,
you go.
if you walk in with clothes, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, it started right.
with me.
I had clothes on, officer.
I started off
I mean,
good.
what are they going to do?
I'm not even asking for service.
right.
It was the bananas.
All right.
They made me do it.
But I think most people think of freedom. They think that they have the choices to make whatever decisions they need to make in life, like what kind of job they're going to have, where they're going to live, things like that. That's all part of what we identify as freedom. I think once you get out of that core is when things get a little bit odd. But anything that we think is freedom is limited. You can't live anywhere you want because you can't afford to.
Yeah.
You can't drive any car you want because you can't afford to. There's limitations even on our own freedom. I can't go to a job and say I want $80,000 a year. It pays 12, dude. So
Oh, but
I mean, I guess
by
you
the
could
way,
say that.
yeah,
Like,
you're
who
free
are
to say
you?
it.
again, you're free to
They're
say
free
it.
to laugh at you and fire you.
Right. They're like, yeah, Would you like a bagel?
They're like, yeah, me too, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we have this thought that we're free to just be these amazing people and blah blah blah. We're limited in all of our freedoms.
Yeah.
Because we've been conditioned to what
There's
is
boundaries or
acceptable.
constraints.
Boundaries or constraints, like we talked before. There's always these development of boundaries and constraints that we subconsciously don't pay attention to, that are part of our conversation, part of our heritage, part of our normal way of communicating. It's ingrained into our language to be controlled.
Yeah, and the reason I started with the next kind of series here, or the next direction here with society, is because society will can make you feel that certain freedoms you have, you don't have, or you're wrong to do, or so while you still may, as Trevor has given examples of many times here tonight, you may still be legally free to do that, but they'll shun you for it. They'll tar and feather you, boy, for it. There will be repercussions, and you will pay for that. And the amount of power that society or group or organization or whatever it may be has to punish you will vary, but it will be your deciding factor as to whether or not you truly have the freedom to do whatever it is you're thinking about doing. Yes, no, maybe. So that leads us into the next one. So and that is another type of society is the religious societies and religious organizations. Many of those will impose and have for many centuries their how should we say belief systems of right, wrong, ethics, what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do based on their own moral and ethical guidelines and constructs, even though legally, because again we're still kind of questioning what is the definition of freedom. Legally, you are allowed to do just that. I mean, for example, some religions don't allow divorce. Well, legally, you can get divorced. You don't need any. You can walk in there and say we're getting divorced.
So that brings up a unique way to examine what you have or what people are willing to associate with as the norm or freedom. Like you can get divorced, but you're religious. Your religion doesn't allow that. So you're making a choice to give one more jurisdiction than the other.
Huh? You're choosing. You're the enforcer of your freedom.
Everybody is.
This is true,
Whoa.
and I guess that's the point of going. That I was trying to
Shebang.
make there with
Just
shebang.
like that. We're done. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Shane, take that
You're
mic.
free to do whatever you like.
That's
Go
right.
for it.
Shane, take that mic off. Drop it.
Yeah, right. That was a mic drop moment for sure. And we're done here.
What do you think about the Shure SM58s for, man? So you can beat those motherfuckers up. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get you a wireless one. You can chuck it across the room.
Oh
man.
yeah.
I think it's pretty unfair that anyone think that their ideas and morals should be everyone else's.
You're preaching to the choir, brother.
Oh,
but
dude. This,
Yeah.
for me, I could come back in a few months and we can do a whole podcast just on how much I hate religion.
oh yeah, me too.
Well, I
but
mean, this goes
we've been
back to
avoiding-
government too, because
Yes.
this is the whole point. That we're
Man,
talking
little
about what they do with
pieces of
money.
that,
That's what they're trying to do too.
It's like in the Marvel universe when Hydra buries itself inside S.H.I.E.L.D. That's what we're dealing with here. If I'm trying to bring it up to the now, you know what I mean, with
Live in the
examples.
now, man.
But that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Well,
it's, it's something that says, hey, you're not supposed to be naked.
In the supermarket.
I'm going to go to a whole nother country and make them wear pants because they need to be civilized.
They're savages.
They are savages.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah, I think religion has undermined everything.
Of every part of humanity. Every part of humanity.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, they're the oldest religion. I mean, sorry, they're the oldest governing body because before there was more organized governing bodies, there were churches and that was the setting.
Even before organized religion, period, mythical beliefs
Yeah.
has held people. You know, when cavemen were worried about the damn why the lightning striking the fire. Oh shit, the crops aren't going to grow. This maybe not cavemen, but whatever. Early indigenous people. You know, oh shit, the crops aren't growing. We better pray to something because that big ass bolt of lightning came down. The fire started. We're scared. We don't know what else to do.
Now
Why does the sky hate me?
Yeah, why does the sky god hate me?
Yeah.
I mean, so it has been used even before it was being used to control people and explain things.
And so those sort of things
keep
are
order.
Those sort of beliefs that we've evolved out of. That's Jurassic technology. That's the way we look at things that when we were only limited by this much amount of information.
Yeah, we did not have science.
It did not have science. It blows me away that we're at a point where we won't believe basic science and facts to make better
that
decisions.
That circle is shrinking because people are starting to ask themselves like, "This is ridiculous."
You don't have a choice because
it's getting jammed down your throat. Thankfully,
I mean, now we have the internet. In the old days, it would take information. It was a trudgery for information to make it across the globe.
And
now you're like, watch this meme go.
Yeah,
and it's off to the races.
50,000 people liked it.
I can be like, wait,
shared
but
20
Trevor,
million times.
Dude, I think you're wrong, bro. I can pull up this picture right here that shows me that the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
Can't you see it at the plate, man?
I took it myself.
We love you, flat earthers. You
Google.
got a special place in my heart forever. Did we do that episode already?
Yeah.
We did, huh? That was part of our
Yeah,
conspiracy theory series.
Yeah, but I mean that's like I said, the freedom part of like understanding what you think is free. For me, when you just like we would talk before about different transitions in your life, coming from living with your parents and becoming an adult. That's a point where you're like, wow. You start understanding freedom a little bit, but you're also testing the boundaries because you think you're free because your parents are no longer telling you what to do, or there's nobody immediately telling you what to do. So who's telling me what to do now? So there's an adjustment period of like
your girlfriend.
Religion fills that gap for you too, especially when you don't want to have to think about it yourself.
Yeah. But see,
I don't want to figure that out. We'll just pick
come over
this
here.
God and religion.
I like that concept if the individual found the religion and the rule set after they left the home where the parental people.
But that's not how it happens.
No,
though.
it's from the birth. That's from they start them before they know any different. Yeah, you're groomed.
Yeah,
but
you're
brainwashed,
relearning.
But, okay, groomed.
Yeah, but you're also relearning what freedom is. Like you don't know. People who get arrested doing something stupid when they're a kid. Oh, I didn't know I couldn't drink in public.
Yeah. You get your first ticket. Oh shit!
Things like that. That starts
building
your boundaries.
I'm not allowed to do that. What?
I can't park on the sidewalk. You start building your boundary as you're living. I think the freedom thing again. When I think of the root of what we think is freedom, I think I'm free to go drive anywhere I want. But if they're working on the road and it's blocked,
or you've been drinking,
or any of those things,
well, sometimes that doesn't stop you.
It doesn't stop a lot of Americans every year.
Yeah, but something will stop you. Something will put a boundary in your freedom.
Right, I was just gonna. You got me by 2 seconds on that one.
The head-on collision with the semi.
Nothing will stop you.
I can fly.
A tree might.
Wow.
You're talking about religion. I think if you need that for every day to get by, great. But when you start telling other people that they're living their lives wrong, then now you've stepped over the line.
True, but that's a horse of a different color. That's a whole other topic, too.
I told you.
Yes.
Yep. I'm fully on board, though.
Agreed.
What freedom is there in religion? As much as you're willing to give them. That's how much
clever.
freedom.
I like that. Very clever. Okay, I didn't think of.
Thank
Well done, sir. Well done, sir. Take a bow. Take a
Again,
bow.
Another
I
mic
think
drop.
next time I come out here, we can get in on that really good. I think I could go for 2 hours straight. Plus, I have
longest episode ever.
Yeah, I'll bring like visual graphs and things just for us to look at and be like, look at this, and then this. It's sort of like religion grows, kind of like a virus.
Yes, it does. That is how it spreads. Let's okay.
Reds
So
and blues.
going from societally imposed constraints to religious imposed constraints. let's the next one I had in line there was cultural upbringing. But more specifically, because that's kind of societal based too, right? Your culture is usually derived from how your society is and looks at certain things. But I kind of wanted to play around with the idea if there was something there. I didn't even think this as far through as I should have.
Nice job.
I know. What a fuck up. What a
You're
fuck
supposed
up,
to be the one that's prepared.
Hey, he's
cut up,
free to
man.
do
We're
that.
like, that's right.
That's right. You guys are imposing on my freedom to
Hey,
not
this is
do
the
that.
consequences right here.
There you go.
Can you guys think of a way that perhaps your cultural upbringing not necessarily takes away from your freedom directly, but through the limits of exposure? So, and what I mean by that is let's say in your society, it's not okay to try or think about running through the supermarket naked, but it is your freedom to do so. Let's just say it was. So how does
I think
that...
most of the time you wouldn't get arrested for that. First of all, I was like, I'm not touching him. Can we just go? Hey, is everything okay with you? Off you go.
I'm fine. I'm just naked.
Now, if you did that every week, then, we're talking problems.
I didn't mean in the literal.
Okay.
So I'm trying to. I guess it's a lot more granular than just the societal and
I
religious
feel like
constraint.
To this one, I have to go directly back to religion. And because religion, this is why I kind of started to go away from religion, is that they literally want to limit
Your exposure.
the
That's how they control.
information
Yeah.
that you're allowed to consume.
Yes, because then you'll start thinking differently.
Because the information they say is bad
Challenges them.
and will corrupt you.
Okay, now
When the reality is those things are cool, and they want to keep you from experiencing them. That's the way they don't.
That's right.
They're afraid
Right.
that you're going to choose something different.
So I like that angle, and but I want to take that application of that concept and make it in a national or government standpoint. So the same thing you just said, they want to keep that information from you from thinking outside of the box that they create for you. Perfect. I think that the country or the government does the same, or the media, whoever the hell controls what goes.
It's harder to see that though, because
Is it? Let me ask you something.
A lot of people don't have access to the information that they're being
Well,
denied.
that's how they that's how religion does it too, by controlling the
Yeah,
information
but
that
they
goes to the
oftentimes
individual.
you will see a book there or be able to bring it up, and they're like, no, you can't. That's a bad book. You can't.
Okay, so maybe it's more accessible on
So it's
that level.
different.
So it's a little different. But again, they can play control to keep us from accessing this
I mean, because
on a global
anything
scale.
that's top secret, right? You're not going to ever
Not
be able to
necessarily,
see.
yes.
Well, I mean, that's the start of it, right? We all know that we can't see that information. We already know it exists, and we know we can't have it.
But
so how much information is over there that they just don't tell you exists? It's not top secret. They're just not telling you about it, and you don't know about it.
Exactly.
Right.
That's more what I'm getting at. And along those lines is, like, for example, we usually know what's going on in Europe, areas of Europe, like England and stuff like that. The people know when the stupid princess and whatever get married, and they publicize it over here, right? That's the information they feed over. But when was the last time you heard any news about Nicaragua, or Brazil, or Portugal, or Italy? Or, I mean, we don't get fed this news. What, they're not doing anything over there? Why aren't we
I mean,
fed
you can go
all
out and
those?
find it, though.
Not in your mainstream stuff. So yes, like you said, they're not deliberately keeping it from us, or maybe they are, who knows. But they also don't give it to us. But they choose to give us other stuff. So does that in turn limit your freedom by
It's called
reducing...
programming for a
Right.
reation.
Yes.
Exactly.
You should
Programming.
know only this stuff about the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So
So
I
then-
remember people saying, the French, they just hate Americans, even though we saved them in WW2.
Yeah, Brazil's all
and
drug
I went
dealers.
There, and I went there, and it was like, basically, if you're an asshole, they don't like you because they've had like 4,000 years of refinement over what the United States has to offer. They're like, we're so over like fighting each other for no reason at all.
And Thomas
If you're
has
cool,
that exact
I'm
same
cool.
experience, right? From
Pretty
other
much,
people.
yeah, pretty much,
If you're cool, they're fine with you. But if you're an asshole, of course they're not
Well,
going to like you.
there's people that suck
It's real easy.
everywhere.
There's people that suck everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you go looking for them, you'll find them.
So I don't know. There may be something there that would work to control our personal freedoms by controlling the information we have access to or what they spoon feed us. Because for the most part, people are going to go the path of least resistance, and the only news they're going to follow or watch is what's put on the boob tube. They're not going to go out and find their own news anywhere else, or maybe they don't even know how.
Or challenge themselves with any real new information whatsoever.
Or question everything, which is why they're listening to this podcast, because somebody else has to question it for them.
We've cracked the door on propaganda a couple times, and I think that that's
a whole
more
other topic,
prevalent
yeah.
now than ever, and that's, I feel like, almost done more by ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we're spooning ourselves or more propaganda than anybody right now. And I don't know that that's necessarily owned by any particular person. I think you have sides. People have been led to believe certain things, and so passionately that they will push it out and make you watch it. And these are your own friends. Like, we see it every day.
With friends like that,
Friends like these, dude.
who needs enemies?
Who needs an enema? Friends like that, who needs an enema?
So refreshing.
Right.
Okay, the last section I had here, unless
Dun, 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 dun.
was where the hell was it now? Oh, okay, totally different take on it, totally different angle.
Totally.
So now we're not talking so much about imposed upon idea changing that affects your freedom or imposed upon defined or lack of freedoms. Let's switch it up and talk about the freedom to defend yourself. And the first thing that popped into my head when I thought about this one was defending yourself means multiple things. It could mean defending yourself from the guy who's trying to rob you, defending yourself from the guy who's trying to hurt your child. But it could also mean defending yourself from your own government. Or it could mean defending yourself from the police officer that's using excessive force. It could mean defending yourself from the lawmaker who's making laws that you don't agree with and didn't ask to do. There may be a lack of freedom that we have in order to in that essence. For example, I was trying to come up with some sort of an example to share with the guys here before we started recording to kind of describe what the hell it was I was talking about with defending yourself. And the best thing I could think of is, it's an easy thing to play off of because there's so much of around the media for the last few years is the police brutality, excessive force used by police officers. Now, all respect goes out to them because that's a freaking tough job and the situations are extremely sticky. However, that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen on a regular basis that excessive force is used. Now, you, I guess, lose your freedom to defend yourself in that particular example if they're using excessive force. Let's say you fight back, or at least push the individual off, or try to block the baton swings that are getting stuck, throwing down.
Why
on
are you resisting?
That's all of a sudden
you
that's
get broken.
Yeah, all of a sudden that's resisting. When wait a minute, so I guess I maybe it isn't a freedom to defend yourself because under certain circumstances you're supposed to sit there and take those hits.
Right.
And at what point is the person debilitated? That's not the right word. Debilitated enough that you don't need to hit them anymore. These are all varying circumstances, and it's not to place blame on either side because I've seen just as many videos where it was like, dude, you really didn't need to hit him that many times, as I've seen, dude, you deserve to be get the shit beat out of you because you're being an idiot right now. So it's both sides, right? But nevertheless, is there a freedom to defend yourself under those circumstances?
Well, I think what the general consensus is on my behalf, this is my belief, and everybody's belief is different, that if in our country, if an officer of the law comes up to you, you have to stop and communicate with them.
Yeah.
And if they ask you to do something, you are under pretty much the belief that you will do what that person says. Because anything against that is resistance. It gives them suspicion.
Yeah.
And so at that point, for me, anytime I've ever dealt with them, I'm like, I stop.
Yeah, me
I'm not
too.
doing
That's why I've
anything.
never had a problem.
And I've never had a problem. But
I've also never done anything really bad that they were after me for.
but if you're in that position and you feel like you're unwillingly being or unjustly being detained,
Or
just go ahead and just chill and sit down and be detained because you're going to have your day in court.
it's not going to get any better than that.
But you're going to have your day in court. If you start a problem and get the shit beat out of you and start a fight, you're fucked.
Yep.
They own you.
This is true. And then they have so much justifiable cause. So apparently your those freedoms that you have to just sit there and shut up.
Again, there's
you have the right to
boundaries.
remain silent, right?
Yeah.
That goes out the
That's
window.
true.
Yeah, I agree. Agreed. It's just something I was kind of thinking about. Like, wait a minute. Okay, so that's defending yourself against a situation like that, right? So what about in circumstances where we could, like I had started off with, like defending your family or defending yourself in your home? There are, in certain states, you're not allowed to shoot somebody who comes in if they don't come in a certain way, or they're not holding a knife.
Or if you have another exit that you can get out of.
Yeah, if there's a way for you to get out of, and that's pretty much a California thing too, is if there's a way that you can get out of the situation without hurting the other person, you're required to take that. Or if your life is not directly at risk, like, for example, if they're punching you or something and they didn't, and
I think you're at risk if you're getting punched.
Dude, seriously, my life is in danger if I'm getting punched. But if there's also, as I understand, there's also been cases where it can be fought in you using excessive force. So they were just punching you. They weren't necessarily punching you to the point where you were unconscious or about to get killed by being punched, and you pulled out the gun and shot them and they died. It was like, well, wait a minute, you might have been able to shove them off. Maybe I couldn't. That can be
sounds
argued
like all
in
the
court.
stuff that they do to argue about rapists out of trouble.
Right? Seriously,
What were you wearing during the robbery?
What did you do to deserve this with what
Did
you were
you
wearing?
walk
That's so
in your
fucked up.
house with a brand new 60-inch smart TV? Well, you were just fucking asking to get robbed.
They watched you strut that thing out of the Best Buy.
I have a family, so if someone breaks into my house, they're going to get shot.
But in Indiana, that might be more looked at as your freedom to defend yourself may be more protected than it is in other states.
I think Indiana has a stand your ground law, don't they?
I'm not really sure about that, but I do know that, they're pretty lax on their gun laws.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like any system that you set up around guns going from a manufacturer to your hands, someone's going to get in there and fuck with that. That's just how everything works that way. So, regulating is just helping us a little bit, but in Indiana, it was pretty loosey-goosey. But I feel like within reason, if someone was breaking into my house and I have children in there, that was going to up the ante, that I'm going to be okay in the end. you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
If
And-
I chase them out in the yard and gun them down in my driveway like
that's-
Tony Montana,
I think pretty much anywhere that's
they're going to be
won't
like,
fly.
you kind of, when he was crawling out of your house and you continued shooting him, that was an excess. And I'll be like,
It was a moment of rage, man.
but I tell you, if I caught someone trying to, crawling in my daughter's window, I'd beat them lifeless just because. You don't get another chance to do this, mister. I'll take, whatever.
What? You don't remember what it was like when you were crawling through the damn window?
Oh, man.
Come on, man. I crawled through windows. If they had
He
beaten
means,
the
I
shit
think
out
he
of
means
me.
more like a robber.
I'm
or
talking
a
like,
killer.
someone trying
but
to.
you don't know. It could be her boyfriend. I mean, maybe she's not the right age, but it
I'm
could be her
sorry.
boyfriend in some way.
You're
He's like,
gonna
I don't care.
you will get beat. Don't come in my windows, man. Look, you
We
can just
have
be
a
like,
door.
look, I'm a night owl. I might not be able to come by until midnight, and I'll be like, cool, I'll be awake. Come on by. But if I catch you crawling in a window,
Gonna get a beat down.
that's right. What is it?
He doesn't remember what it was
Who's
like.
that? Who's that peeking in my window, pal? Nobody now.
It's the weed.
The lead. Now, defending yourself is a really tricky thing, especially in
Seriously.
California. I mean, it's
Especially here, because
that's 'cause-
Florida, right? You just have to be afraid for your life. You can shoot somebody. Is that not right?
I don't know. I mean, they do have, obviously they have standard
I
ground.
don't think it is even up to that standard to where
It-
you have
it
to
was-
fear for your life. Oh my gosh, this guy's being too loud. I think that's how Florida works. What'd you say?
Getting fed to the gators
If that was the
after
truth, the population would drop by half.
There'd be so many dead people. dude.
Fucking 3 to 5 years.
All you
it'd
gotta
be
do is
just
drive in the
vacant
road,
land.
and there'd be dead people everywhere for the
man.
road rage.
Yeah, anyone who thinks they have a handle on road rage doesn't drive down and up through Florida. Like up the middle of Florida is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Horrible. Well, that was actually all I had on the topic
on your
for today. You guys got anything else you want to add on that one? Or
Freedom isn't free.
did we? Yeah.
Cause folks like you and me.
Did we destroy freedom enough tonight?
Or we open their eyes to the fact that they can do whatever the hell they want.
That's right.
Apparently.
Yeah.
But there will be
But
consequences.
there will be consequences.
You can defend yourself within reason. You
Yeah.
can be naked in public within reason.
In certain states, yes.
Just remember,
Or cities.
mistakes were made.
Mistakes.
Always.
On that note, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Show notes and other info can be found at our website, greatdistraction.com. The Great Distraction is listed in iTunes, and we greatly appreciate it when our listeners take the time to look us up and leave us a 5-star rating and review. That helps our show grow and motivates us to continue producing content. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can do so using the email address, greatdistractionpodcast@gmail.com, or via our website. We're always interested in hearing any thoughts, comments, or questions from our listeners. Keeping up on the latest from us can be done in several different ways. You can add us to your favorite RSS feed tracker. The link is available on our website or in iTunes. Or you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for Great Distraction, one word, no space. As always, thank you for listening, and thank you for all the support.